to my YouTube channel. My name is Tessin. If it's your first time being with us, welcome. And I'm kind of shy, it's been a while, but don't worry, I'm going to warm up before we get to the crux of the video. So today we're going to be talking about something very important. If you plan on coming to Dublin or you're in Dublin, you already know that there is a housing crisis, and I hope many of you are not frustrated because I have been there. As you can see, my background is new. So yes, I've gotten a place now. So I decided I would not record this video till I have a house, so that I can share my experience and what I learned on my journey. So today we're going to be talking about how to find accommodation in Ireland. What are the opportunities available? What do you have to do? What are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? Okay? And because this topic is so sensitive, I wrote everything I wanted to tell you in a book because I know what to forget. Okay. So the first thing is, where do you find accommodation? Where can you find a house? Now, I know we are all in different, stages in our lives. Some of us are single, some of us are, moving in with family, some of us are moving in with our partners. So you need to find what works for you and what is within your budget. So first, I'm going to start with the two websites that basically, everybody uses. There are many websites that promise to give you accommodation dates, but I would say focus on two: daft.ie. I'm going to put it here, daft.ie, and rent.ie. Any other one you are using, have it at the back of your mind that there is a possibility that it might not work out, or there might be scammers on it, But as we go further on, we will see. But the two places you should check is daft.ie and rent.ie. Interestingly, I did not get my house from any of these platforms. I know people that have gotten their houses from there, but I didn't, But those are the two websites that kind of guarantee you to see real houses, not fake, because it's one thing to look for a house, and when you're desperate, you might fall victim. So you just need to be careful about where you are looking. Now, what type of accommodation is available? That's the second thing that we'll look at. The first thing I'm going to start with is student accommodation, because I stayed in a student accommodation when I got to Ireland. I was looking forward to sharing links. I've shared the links of the accommodation I stayed in with most people here that have messaged me. But before I moved out of that accommodation, it was already taken for the next year. I even tried to pay for summer, it was already gone. So as great as student accommodation is, it is in high demand because students don't really qualify to apply for houses on Daft based on the requirements that these landlords need. But I would, give us that list. So the student accommodation, usually you have to pay in a lump sum. So they might ask you to pay for a year, they might ask you to pay for 6 months, or if you're paying monthly, you must have a guarantor. It's usually all bills inclusive. That's the pro, because truly, now, the things I'm juggling with, having to pay for light, having to bring out my bean. As a student, you've not even found your bearing, you don't understand anything, heating, it can be a lot for you to figure out. So I'll say, if you can afford it, you should go for student accommodation. Another thing is, I was like, oh, I don't want to spend that amount of money, I want to come and hustle and find a house here. And shout out to my mom, who was like, just take the student accommodation and leave it. And truth be told, yes, there are cheaper options, but when I started looking at the convenience, when I started looking at the bills, especially with the rising energy costs in Ireland, I would say it worked out for me. It was a great decision. I was able to integrate with, people, my housemates, because mine was like a flat, and it was even in suits. I wasn't sharing bathroom, but I had to share a kitchen, right? And I met people. Some of my housemates were amazing. They even told me, oh, this is a shortcut to school, this is where you should shop from. They were really, really, really helpful with just settling in. So definitely I'll say that was a big plus for me. Now the cons, some of my housemates were racists, But the racist housemates were not Irish, funny enough, which made the whole thing funny because we are all immigrants here. The Irish housemates I had were lovely, but the ones that were not Irish were racist. Like they gave me a really tough time. You know, they were mean to some of my friends that would come. One of them told my friend to go and wash microwave. Like, how can your guest come and you're telling your guest to wash microwave? You know, that was really, really upsetting. But it really built me up. Like, I basically just had to learn how to deal with people. You know, all in all, would I do it again? Yes, the convenience was amazing. There was someone that could take your like when I order from ASOS, I don't have to be chasing delivery driver. We had a connoisseur downstairs, there was a reception, maintenance, you know, if something is blocked, there's someone to help me. And I was close enough to the city center that I used to cycle to school. So another thing is, even when you decide to pick a student accommodation, you need to make sure it's a student accommodation that is close to your school. So don't just pick one because it's beautiful. What's the proximity to where you are studying? Because at the end of the day, if you're paying that much money, you should try and keep your transport low. You should feel safe enough to stay in school longer and come back on time. Another one is shared accommodation. Now, shared accommodation works in different ways. A group of friends can come together and take a house and then they share the rooms, or there might be an accommodation that has already, you know, they already have two people, like it's a 3-bedroom and they're looking for a third person, you know. And these have their pros and cons as well. First of all, you know, less rules in the sense that it's student accommodation, they might say no guests allowed, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's not a house, like it's just like a room. Secondly, it's cheaper because you are splitting bills. If you have good housemates, you are even splitting food, splitting everything. You don't have to think about the responsibilities of emptying the bin and all that. So it has its pros and cons. And another good pro about it is you might be lucky and be the third housemate, because sometimes someone has gone through the stress of getting a house from the landlord and they just post like, oh, I need a housemate, you know, to join me. And you get it so easily, you know. So it has its pros, but it also has its cons in the sense that a shared accommodation is like a marriage, you know. If you get good housemates and if you are a good housemate, it's a beautiful thing. If you have bad housemates or finicky housemates or housemates that both of you just don't align, maybe someone is cleaner than the other, someone is better than the other, someone is broke and doesn't pay their bills, someone steals, it's like a bad marriage. You would hate, you would be unhappy unless you're someone that can just be like, I don't give a hoot, I'm going to stay in my room. And then what's the point of paying if you're always going to be in your room? You should be able to use the sitting room, you should be able to use the kitchen, you know. So when picking shared accommodation, these are the things you need to look at. But most times, I know some of us watching this video are so desperate and you will just take anything. Take your time. I had to let go of a house that I had worked for, you know, just because I couldn't align with the other housemates. We were not seeing eye to eye on things. We all had different ideals of how a house should run, and it was a very painful decision at the time to make, you know, because I have been looking for a house, everyone had been looking for a house, 3 of us were more or less homeless and we had to make that decision, you know. This isn't working out. If we're already having issues, by the time we move into the house, you know, so one of us will be unhappy. I will be unhappy because I am not confrontational. I don't know how to fight. So I just had to make that decision. And it was painful for everybody. But at the end of the day, I look back and I'm happy. I'm happy where I am, you know. I had to wait an extra 3 months to be able to get a house, you know. But these are the things you have to do, because your shelter is, you have to look at your accommodation as where you are staying. It has to be your refuge. You can't be running away from your house. You can't pay such exorbitant fees and still run away from the house. Do you understand me? So take your time, even though like you might have only one cut, you know. I'll say it's a decision. It's like a marriage. You don't just marry because that's the man or woman that is available for you to marry. You guys need to align. Do you understand? The next thing is private landlord. So some a lot of students, a lot of people end up, renting the spare room from a private landlord. Now, how do they meet this private landlord? Some private landlords put their house on daft.ie. Some private landlords put their house on hosts. There's something called this host accommodation. I'll put the URL where people actually put their houses, and they always tell students, oh, come and live with a family. It's like a host family, and they would integrate you into the society. Some put their house on Facebook rent groups. I know friends that have gotten houses from the Facebook group, but Facebook also has people that are scams. So even if you want to use like a Facebook group to get a house, you need to go and view the house. You need to see the landlord eye to eye. Don't let anybody play you for a fool. So definitely, like, people do it. Now, the pros of this is a private landlord. If you have a good landlord, it's a great experience. You are setting the house is there, you have your room. You're not buying things like spoon, fork. I had to buy, like, I went to IKEA. I probably post videos for my IKEA trip. I had to buy like fork, spoon. I had to buy everything from the beginning, which is one of the pros of student accommodation, because I didn't have to buy these things. I bought some stuff, but like I wasn't buying pots, knife, toilet brush to wash the toilets. Like, I had to buy everything, and that is money that you are spending to set up a home, So with a private landlord's house, you don't have this issue. But the cons of a private landlord is they can literally, although there should be tenancy laws, but I've heard of people that say, oh, my landlord gave me 6 weeks. I don't know what the tenancy law says. I'll see if I can check it out for you guys. But they give them 6 weeks notice and they're out, or I've had private landlords. I've seen some houses on Daft, and they're like, oh, you can only stay Monday to Friday, or no friends allowed, or no alcohol allowed, or you must be home by 10 p.m. or don't bother coming back. Like, I'm not living with my parents. I'm paying rent. If I'm with my parents, I'm not paying rent. Why would I be paying rent and you're giving me all these rules? But if you're someone that can live with rules, if you're someone that can endure, it's okay. It's okay to take a private landlord house. There was one I saw from host accommodation or something, host family, and the reason why I did not take the house was because they had kids. I just felt like, of course, they're gonna go to go and get groceries, and like, oh, just saying, please, can you help me watch my kids? And then I will not say no, because I'm at home. Why would I say no? It will just be mean. And then before you know it, from one day you become a babysitter, and that is not the experience I wanted. So that's one of the reasons I didn't take a private landlord's home. But I have a friend who took a house with a private landlord. She met it through a friend of a friend. It was a lovely experience. They went to Amsterdam together. It was amazing. The landlord had a car. They went grocery shopping together. So I believe everyone's experience is different, but you just need to be open and understand that this is what might happen in this house. Another thing with private landlords is some of them want cash. So on your bank statements, there is no record that you are paying rent, unless you are someone that maybe when you withdraw the money, you write the rent, and then you ask your landlord that, oh, can you give me a receipt? Then there are also full houses, which is what I got. Full houses is where you actually go and apply for a house. It's similar to shared accommodation in the sense that this one, you're directly the ones on, it's a tenancy. So most times student accommodation is a license agreement. So if you're a lawyer, you know if I'm saying a tenant and I'll call it licensee. But this one, you are a full tenant, with tenant laws. You are responsible for energy, you are responsible for your meter, you are responsible for the bin, basically responsible for everything. And the good thing about this, the pro of this one is you can choose where you want, you can choose who you live with, you are fully in control, you are more settled. But the con is it is not easy to get a full house. For me, I must have sent over 200 Daft. In fact, I'm sure I sent more Daft.ie applications. I did not get response. I only got like 2 viewings. Just 2 viewings out of how many? Me and my friend use the same template, but she has an English name. My name is longer, Oluwatosin. And I don't want to believe that's the problem, because is it that the name is too long for the landlord? But we would literally apply at the same time. Couldn't really get viewings, which was really sad. Another issue with getting full houses is they are now going to review your application, like you're applying, you know, and I'm going to get into that in detail next if you want to apply for a house on that, you know. So another thing, I think the last thing I'll say is companies. There are many companies in Ireland that have their websites and you can apply from there. There's Hook and McDonald, there is oku.ie. Oku, if you watch this video, I'm annoyed with you guys because I applied to about 5 houses because it's like an app. None of you got back to me. That's very bad. That's very, very bad. Till today, I haven't even, like, they haven't even told me, oh, your application was not successful. So, but I know people that got Oku, but I'm annoyed. There is Bay Meadows, there's U by Urbeo, that's URBEO. That's where I'm staying now. I had the best experience with them. I went online, I applied for the house, and they reviewed my application and got back to me within a week. It was so smooth. My friends also used them, like I have a few friends that have used them, and they had a lovely experience. I feel like if you're not ready to actually, you know, take applications for a house, let the house not be on the website. There's Hali. I have my reservations about Hali as well. Hali is a beautiful place to live in, but I had a bad agent because as far as I'm concerned, he did not do well. I was approved for the house, and when time came, they didn't allot me a slot. Like, it was giving Niger vibes. Like, how would I apply for a house, be approved, but then you will not give me a slot and say, oh, the house has finished, you know? Why did you allow me even apply at all in the first instance? And I was one of the first people to apply. But Hali is also a company, like a website that you can go and actually apply for a house and get in. I know people that go into Hali easily, because I also think this housing thing, everybody has their own experience, you know. But that has been my experience with these houses. Now, talking about this, we're going to move to the next thing. When you now want to apply for a house, what documents are required? I've noticed that even though there is like data protection, there is a GDPR, they still ask for quite a lot of data from you just to be able to get a house. I think it's actually unbelievable. I even had to research on something about bank statements, and yeah, they were like, oh, some, I think there's a rule that says you will view the house, and after they can ask. Well, I'm like, you're asking for so much data. Well, I made a list of things I had. So if you're actually applying for a house and you don't have this, then I don't think you should apply for a house. I think you should stay with family and friends and church members. So first of all, you need a means of identification. Is it your passport? Is it your, of course, Irish driver's license? You know, I never use my GNI. It was just my ID, which I think is good. Why are you asking for that one? You know, so I think it's okay. So if you have your passport or your driver's license, your Irish driver's license, you can use any of that as well. Then 2 references, so a work reference and would I call it a landlord's reference, so where you were living before. I find this very funny because if you are coming in for the first time and you don't have a landlord reference, how are you supposed to get a house? I don't have an answer to that yet, you know. Some actually the companies, they make it optional, you know, like, okay, if you have a landlord reference, add it. But this is one issue that I know students have had where they didn't have a landlord reference, so it was tough for them to get a place. But student accommodation will not ask you for a landlord reference because they know you are just coming. Where would you get, you know, a landlord reference from? So work reference as well, and which is why I'll say this video is very important, is you don't start preparing your documents when you've not when you need a house. Like, if you're watching this video now and you already have accommodation, you need to start thinking, what am I going to use as my work reference? So your work reference doesn't have to state how much you earn, because you're working part-time as a student, for example. It doesn't have to state the Tosin works 20 hours and earns $15 an hour, nothing like that. It just needs to state, you are working with them, if you're working with them for this long, maybe you're permanent or things like that, because they want to know that you earn income. They want to know, okay, this is how this person is going to pay their rents. Not yahoo yahoo, you actually have a way to make money. Yeah, so they also ask for bank statements, 6 months bank statements. And one thing they look at is your savings culture, like what's your balance and what money is coming in. They want to know that, okay, you get money in every month. One mistake I made when I started looking for a house, I didn't used to keep my money in my accounts. Like, I don't know, I used to just keep my money in other places, so my balance was always low, and it was very hard to prove that I earned income. Another thing is they also look at the percentage. Like, I know Vesta, that's another company, would say, oh, your total income, your rent should not take more than 40% of your total income. So when you're even applying for a house, that's what I started using. If I look at the rent and I combine me and all the people that, like my other housemates, that were all applying for a house together, and our income is not enough, to afford that house, like the rent is more than 40% of our total income, I already know that the landlord will not take me. So I'll decide, okay, do I need to find a housemate that earns more money? Do I need to earn more money? Things like that. So you need to actually be calculative. You cannot just be applying for a house and there's nothing in your bank account, or you're applying for a studio that is 1,000, you earn 1,005 a month. They will not give you the house. So brings me to a very important part. Now, for your bank account, I've noticed that many people struggle with getting a bank account. How do I get an account where I can keep my money and build my savings and build my balance? So today I'm going to be talking to you about Moneyjar. Now, with Moneyjar gives you access to an Irish bank account. And the great thing about this is it's very easy to open. All you have to do is download the Moneyjar app. So there's going to be a video here, I'm sure you can see it already, that explains how you can open an account in 5 minutes. So all you have to do is download the app, put in your email, put in your address. The verification is done in a modern way. Just hold your phone, take pictures of your passport, and set your password, and you have your Moneyjar account. And literally you can use it to apply for your accommodation. There are also jars that you can save with and say, okay, every month I'm going to save this amount. Unlike other neo banks, you are sure that it's an Irish bank account. Unlike traditional banks, like I remember when I opened my account, I had to get my parents' bank statement and submit it to open accounts. I was like, I had to go multiple times. I went like twice to the bank. It wasn't instant. Like, I didn't get my IBAN on the spot, because you would submit your details, go to the bank, submit your details. They now gave me a link that, oh, okay, shall open online and stuff like that. But with Moneyjar, like, it's so easy, so simple. If you got to Ireland today, you can open an account today, and you can start building your balance. So to me, I'll say, download the Moneyjar app, open your Moneyjar account, and start saving and building your balance for your accommodation, if you are still building it. So don't let banks, having a bank account, stop you from basically getting a house. Also, you can also use it when you get a job, because I've noticed that some employers are like, oh yes, because IBAN is EU, the EU is wide. But some will tell you, I want an Irish bank account. So Moneyjar gives you that, unlike other neo banks. So download your Moneyjar account today. You can use the link in the description box and let me know what you think about the app and how it works for you. Okay? So another thing is your pay slip. Some landlords will prefer pay slip to bank statement. Some will want pay slip and bank statements, Some will ask for just anyone. So these are basically the documents that you need. So your means of ID, 2 references, your bank statement, your pay. Let's talk about bills. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my automobile? Okay, let's be serious. Is it even automobile? I don't know what it is, but now bills, you've gotten a house. Now if you're a student, you don't have to worry. I want to believe you got an all bills inclusive house, but if you are the one managing your expenses, what do you have to think about? So there's the light bill. The light bill. It's crazy. Like, it's so crazy right now. I don't even put on the heater in my house. So first of all, you need to know the type of heating you have, if it's gas or electric, that would also affect. So there's the light bill. It can be prepaid or postpaid. It depends on the house you're on. I'm on prepaid. I'm not finding it funny at all. I don't know which one is better because I've not been on postpaid. But one thing prepaid has taught me is how to, like, when I see the money finishing, I'm like, I need to adjust, and maybe with postpaid, maybe I would not have known that I was using that much energy. But I know people on postpaid and they say it's good. So, and energy is actually so terrible now in Ireland that the government is giving us about 200 euro. What would I call it? Is it voucher? Let me just call it a voucher, just to offset the cost of living. I'll make a separate video on how to survive, this winter, because it's crazy. People don't like winter videos, but it should not be cold. Go and watch the video when it drops, okay? Another thing is internet. Of course, you need to pay internet bills. There are contracts. I'm not sure if I'm on a contract now, but the contracts are cheaper. I just don't like tying myself down. I'm a free bird, but you can get contracts if you like. It's always good to ask. What works in the area that you're living in, because there's Virgin Media, there's so many. I use Virgin Media. Another thing you also need to realize is you actually need to call them to come and set up. So let's say you're moving into a house on the 15th of November. You need to realize you need to call the Wi-Fi guys separate from the house. You're not moving in and getting Wi-Fi immediately. So for us, it took us about 2 weeks to set up our Wi-Fi because we did not remember to call them early and tell them, please come and set up the Wi-Fi for us. Excuse me. Another thing is gas bills. I haven't gotten gas bills. I don't know why. I don't know, maybe my house does not use gas, I don't know. But yes, you will get gas bills. I can't tell you how much it is per month. I'll probably do a separate video on how much it costs to live in Ireland in a month with all these bills. And then there's bin. Different houses have different styles of paying for their bins. I got my house from a company, so I know I have to manage bringing out the bin. There's the green bin, there's the black bin, there's the brown bin. Brown is for compost, green is for recycle, and black is for general waste. So these are just some of the things that you need to think about when you decide to get a house. Ask these questions to your landlord. Ask about energy, ask about internet, ask about the bin, ask about gas. I think those are the things you need to consider. Another thing, parking. So there are some houses that you have to pay for parking, I think 50 euro a month. So if you decide to get that kind of house, know that you will pay for parking. If you want to get a house and get a car in the nearest future, know that you need to pay for parking. You need to think about that as well. So finally, because this video is long, what are the things to look out for when you want to find an accommodation? Your housemates, as I've said earlier, proximity to transportation. Is there a bus stop? Is there a dark line? Is there a lowest stop? Do you work from home? If you work from home, it's not something you really consider. Is there transport to school? How many buses are you going to take to get to school? How many buses are you going to take to get to work? These are the things you need to think about. I know things are not looking great now, and some of your things are like, guy, I just want a house. Even if it's 3 hours, I'm ready to enter. I know. But still think about it. If you're a Christian or Muslim, if you are religious, pray about it. When I wanted my house, I told God, I want to live near a lowest stop. I want to have a shopping center beside my house. I made a list of what I wanted in a house and I prayed and I got it. God listens, you know. God listens. So that's just one thing to say. Look at the neighborhood. I'm not here to insult any neighborhood, but there are some neighborhoods that everyone is like, stay away, stay away. There's one that starts with F. I'm gonna leave it to you guys to guess the one that starts with F, and there's one that starts with J. They are like, don't live there. Oh. I know this video is supposed to be helping you, tell you avoid these places, but what I'll say is you need to ask questions about the neighborhood. You need to research. You need to go to Irish Times and read up the neighborhood you want to take, you know. If your house is also too cheap, you need to be worried. Why is this house this cheap? There's someone that reached out to me on WhatsApp, and I think he got my details from Rentola, because I paid for Rentola. I actually paid. That was how bad it was when I was looking for a house. And this person got my details, I think, from there, and told me, oh, he's in the UK, he cannot come and view the house, but I should send him my money, and after I sent him the money, he will come down and I can view the house. And then he sent me a video of the house, but I have seen the house on Daft, and I know that the house is not that price. Secondly, why am I paying for a house I haven't? Like, why are you messaging me on WhatsApp? That was awkward as well. There were just a lot of flags. I was very desperate, but I didn't. When I spoke to someone after, the person was like, oh, that person was actually a scammer, and they scam people. So don't be in a hurry. Don't be like, well, this one is working out, and pay. You have to be very careful, you know, about what you're doing. If you're dealing with a company, it's a bit easier, whether or not you even view or anything like that. But once it's like a private person, they are not following the ways I just explained it, where you apply for a house, you go for a viewing, you send your documents, they approve you, you pay your security deposits, and then you agree on when you're getting the keys. If you're not following that process, there is a problem. If it's a company, you might skip some. Maybe there's no viewing, maybe you just apply for the house, and then you get it. But be careful, they need to follow that process. Also, you need to look at your security deposits, how much your security deposits. You need to save for your security deposits as well, because they're going to collect their money. They're going to collect their money. They not send you any message. You're the one that wants to live in their house. But I haven't really seen any house here that has said pay 6 months, because I heard that happens in the UK. But here so far, I haven't seen anything like pay 6 months, pay 8 months. That hasn't happened so far in my experience. And then read your contract. What does your contract say? What is allowed? What is not allowed? Are friends allowed? Can you sublet? What is the termination clause like? If you want to leave the house, what's the notice period? If your landlord wants to evict you, what's the notice period you have to give you? Is it a fixed tenancy? Read the contract, understand what you're signing. Are you even a tenant, or are you a licensee? The rights you have are different. So consider all these things when you want to find accommodation in Ireland. Okay, that's about it from this video. If you have questions, you can reach out to me on the message parts or email me. I've gotten lots of emails. Welcome to Ireland, the new guys here, my new subscribers, I love you. Don't forget to download the Moneyjar app. Okay, download it. Okay, and join the Twitter community as well. If you're on the Twitter community and you have you find out that there's a free house, please can you post the link for other people looking for house? Don't hold information. If I see any applications, I will be posting them on the Twitter community as well. Till next time, take care. Toodles. Don't worry, I'm gonna be posting more videos in a few days. Okay.